Today I'm going to share a very interesting new insight that I gained from gaining new memories from a past life that I have been repressing. And it also helps us understand how we operate, how we can unlock and unblock ourselves. What's the difference when we get the energy coming from the body towards the head? So basically, the child self moves to the adult self, or the opposite of that, when we are in the social part of the vagus nerve, where the control of the head goes towards the heart. And today I'm going to explain a big difference in between these two. That is extremely simple, by the way, as soon as you understand it. So the inspiration of this video is coming from a communication that I received from this non-physical version of my own opposite, who mirrors me in the Kundalini line. And I am able to communicate with his version that he has already had a Kundalini awakening. And this is what I believe, that one level above our conscious level, so one level above beta brainwaves, we have gamma, and you can access gamma continuously when your brain is basically working in a synchronized way. This is what I believe I've done in a Kundalini awakening, that I connected different parts of the brain and they are no longer segregated. And this is how I am able to access this part. So this is how I am able to channel information from one level above. And every level has a different way of communication, just as crocodiles communicate in a way, and I don't know, giraffes and elephants communicate in a different way, and humans communicate in a different way. So I believe every single evolutionary level, every single evolutionary step has a different way of additional version of communication, and I believe this is what I tapped into. And he kept coming to me and kept saying the same thing over and over. Okay, with a lot more fluff as well, but the core of it was always the same. That the problem is, I believe I am supposed to move forward. And when I move forward, or even when I connect to certain energies, I am supposed to feel something. Again, it's the same theme, that I believe that I have to move forward, and what I am supposed to feel or experience, it's actually something in the future. But in reality, it has already happened. It's in the past. And he said to me that what I really have to do is I have to remember. So it's a little bit like what I keep saying in my videos, that you have to remember, but this is what he said to me. You have to be able to recall that very first life when we met and you were hurt and you were crushed, and you have to recall those memories. And the difficult part will be is the emotional memories. You have to be able to re-experience them. And experiencing it, I didn't receive the emotions yet, but I started to get pieces of bits of this life, and his explanation, by the way, that helped me understand the two different parts of the nervous system we have, because we have a vagus nerve that goes from the back to the head, and this is the version I had a Kundalini awakening. I had that. And there is another one that comes from the head to the body, and we will be able to understand how differently they work, but they try to do the same thing, and it's integration with the holistic self. So the one that is at the back of the body, what I did was, I used to be a head type of person. So the type of person is the fearful avoidant, and I became my own opposite. So I started to do things that went against. So this is basically a repression of who I used to be, and the energy doesn't disappear, the energy just gets somewhere else. And this was the back of the body. Basically, this is a more border line kind of thing. That is a very emotional type of person. So basically, the person I used to be, I was no longer able to access that physically just by memories, how I used to be, but I wasn't able to execute things that way, especially when I was in a relationship. And this is the whole point of emotional relationships, especially twin flame connections, that you are connected, you feel attracted to your own opposite. But when you become your own opposite, basically that person represents the person you used to be, those energies. And what created the Kundalini awakening was realizing, it took several years. So it's not like, wow, it's so simple. It took me several years of intense misery that there is a sameness in it. And this is when you engage with the head. And the two opposite people will have two opposite way of thinking and two opposite way of reacting, two opposite way of resolving the same issue. And this is where this duality is. But the duality is not only emotional, the duality is also in the head as well. So there are two different parts of the brain as well that is going to be engaged. One of them, that's the anxious preoccupied, that wants to move towards the person to resolve the issue, and the other one, the avoidant, who wants to go away and believes that, oh, I just go away, and if we don't talk about it, it's going to be resolved on its own, basically. And it's not about which one is right and wrong, it's that you have to have both in a healthy, integrated way. And what truly happened was that I was able to connect these two in the head and in the heart. So basically, when you are moving from the back to the head, this is where the child self is. Basically, you move towards others. This is going towards society. So anything that is a connection going up is going to be with the help of someone else, an opposite type of energy, integration of energies. This is my understanding. That you see that these two are exactly the same. They were created by the exact same type of experience, that is a negative experience. The same trauma created two opposites, and they react in a very, very different way. They seem completely opposite, but at the very, very core, when you see the trauma, when you see the sameness, you were able to integrate them. And now I was moved to the front part, which is the opposite. It goes from top to down. It goes from the head to the heart. So basically, you don't feel, or what you feel is very simple, like anger or anxiety, but you don't have the emotional part that would connect to you, to that person. And this is this type of relationship basically that I have in this reality. And this is the one I have to be able to recall. I have to be able to overcome, because I have to find the root. And I didn't understand why I have to redo this, or what is it about. And the only memory I received, that he broke my heart. And this is the thing that I could remember, that this type of energy is going to hurt me. So anytime I met him in a completely different reality, I always rejected him. So this is how basically he created me, and he created basically his own misery. Or we can call it karma. You hurt her, she's going to hurt you back, kind of thing. But the interesting thing is, because now he started to explain that what you didn't see back then in that life, that he was a player. He played you, and he hurt you very, very deeply. And I believe, I didn't feel yet, but I believe what this means is that here it's the sameness, because the head feels sameness and the heart feels oppositeness. That here I have to relive the exact same type of trauma, but it has to create a different type of interpretation of the exact same thing with the exact same person. So this is going to be an overcoming. This is going to be a more mature type of consciousness that we re-examine the exact same trauma. And this is what we can do with our parents as well, by the way, that when you were a child and there was a trauma, you see it now, not from a perspective of a child, but you have to relive emotionally as well and create a new connection, a new neural connection between your subconscious, so basically your limbic system, and your consciousness, so you can overcome that trauma. And this is something that we can think about trauma as well, that there are actually two types of trauma. There is one that you can feel, like for example, losing someone you truly love, and it's really alive in you, and you go through an intense grief, and you have to be able to process that. But there is a different type of trauma that is deeper. This was, for example, when this year I lost my father, and the spooky thing was he died exactly on my sister's birthday, and I felt nothing. And that truly shows the trauma. My father died for me a long time ago because he was just never around. But that's the thing that you have to really recognize, that just because you don't feel something, it doesn't mean it's not there. The problem is that it's very, very deep down, and you still have to resolve that. It's just a lot more difficult because you don't feel anything anymore. And the deeper part to it, when we talk about grief of any kind or trauma of any kind, that it's not just losing that person either now or recently or in a different life, but you still remember, or maybe when you were a child and you just feel nothing now. It's that it's not just about losing that person, it's that you lost yourself as well. So the grief always goes two ways, and that's difficult because many people don't recognize that. And the same thing goes to any type of trauma. It can be a heartbreak, and it doesn't have to be a heartbreak with a partner. It can be something that maybe your best friend stabbed you in the back. The conclusion of the video is that you have to have the ability to move back in order to move forward. You have to be able to remember to reframe the situation, or you have to be able to remember in order to create empathy, something that maybe you forgot how you used to feel. For example, a person who is an adult now and maybe have children, they have to be able to recall how they truly felt when they were little kids or when they were teenagers. And when you see them from that perspective, you feel exactly, you recall those memories. It's a lot easier to process their emotions because you are able to recall yours that you might forgot. And the more deeper way to do that is to do past life regression, when you are able to recall completely different lives, completely different ways of seeing reality, living reality, that is going to give you a much broader perspective. And this is exactly what I'm planning to talk about in my upcoming videos. I hope this video was helpful for you, and see you in my next video.